Before it was headlines, it was prophecy, and I'm your host, Katie Elizabeth. I'm not in the studio today because the studio is always 10 to 20 degrees, either warmer than the hot seasons or colder than the cool seasons. And right now it's what we would call unseasonably cool here in the Ozarks. So I'm at my desk in my office. And I want to talk to you because this is really, really an important message that has been on more hearts than just my own. And I want to share what I've been given, as well as encourage you to seek Yud Hey Vah Hey in your own life in regard to this, as well as, just kind of take a look and notice it from the perspective of looking at death like a weight. Remember the old Roadrunner cartoons and the anvil that would fall on the coyote? Okay, kind of picture death that way. Because as the debates continue amongst we the people, and we're either encouraged or programmed, or whatever the term is, to blame the other party or blame previous generations, future generations, whatever. And what we need to realize is really this is an American tradition that's gone on a very long time. You can't single out just one generation or one party, because neither party fixes the last damage, nor does any generation really bite the bullet and make a difference. Individuals of each generation, but never a generation that just says the buck stops here. And even though politically, Harry Truman is credited with saying the buck stops here, it may have on his desk for that one term that he was elected, but basically, the party's just kind of, it's just kind of a volley or a ping pong or whatever. So let's look at this seriously from a current events perspective, as well as a scriptural perspective. And I have to tell you, it's like I don't have these a lot, and I don't talk about, I'm not one that's all into this dream business. And, you can get on social network and you see there are a ton of people who take no teaching, no advice, no nothing, and they always have something to put out. I don't tend to lean that direction, and I don't have a lot of dreams that I think are of spiritual significance, but this one is. And the fact that one of my main contributors is also being burdened about this debt business, to me, that's that's confirmation. That's like two witnesses. That's confirmation. So, and the fact that I am reading in Genesis, the Torah reading, when Joseph had two dreams, sun and the moon and all of that, and then the other one was they were all the wheat, the sheaves of wheat, and both of those were of the same thing, that his family would be bowing down to him at some point. And then we also have the two dreams that Pharaoh had. One was the skinny cows eating the fat cows, and the other one was the horrible ears of corn consuming the luscious ears of corn. And Joseph interpreted those to have the same meaning also. And he said, because there's been two dreams, the matter is set. Well, this concerns me because although I haven't had them the same night, because I have had two dreams with the same presence, the same central figure, I feel like I have to share this. The first dream I had was a big red Hereford bull in a basement of a suburban home, a finished basement, and I have that linked with the Goshen Gazette this week. And this bull was just totally wreaking havoc, and there were like half a dozen teenage boys in the house, and I was telling them all, we've got to get out of here, we've got to get upstairs and get out of here, this bull's going to tear the house down. And the boys were saying, well, if he tears the house down, we're still going to fall in if we go upstairs. And they weren't hearing me saying we've got to get completely out. This idea of another level is what we've all kind of been programmed to. And so I was saying, we've got to get out. Well, then even in my own, and I'm in the dream, but the bull seems totally oblivious to me, and I'm almost like a bystander, but I am a participant. And so as I was telling these young teenagers, about driving age boys, that we got to get out. We got to get out. And then even in my thought of, okay, and I can go around and open the garage door, because the regular doors, the storm doors, whatever, the regular doors were too narrow. So even in my mind in the dream, it was like, I can get the boys to safety outdoors, out of the house. Then I can go around and open the garage door, the double garage door, and the bull can get out that way. So even in my dream, it was like I'm still trying to think of an exit for this mess. That was back in the end of 2010 or the beginning of 2011. The date is within a couple of weeks, on the blog. Now, fast forward this to just a couple of weeks ago, and it's interesting that these are in the same season, not exactly the same month or date, but the same season in the biblical calendar, but 3 years apart. This dream I had was once again probably half a dozen, maybe, or so. They were slightly, they were still younger men than I am, but they were more than children, more than teenagers. They were on horseback. And this same huge raging bull was dragging one of these men. It was like one horse that had no rider, and the man was being dragged through a pond. And I was on the other side of the pond. The gentlemen on the horses were doing what they could. They were trying to distract this bull to get them to drop the guy he was dragging, and they were trying to corral this bull somewhere else. But the bull could not be dissuaded from his havoc. And it was at that moment one of the young cowboys jumped off his horse and onto the back of the bull, and that distracted the bull for just a moment, that he stopped dragging the young man he was dragging, and of course was trying to get his attention there. And so all of the gentlemen on horses closed in, trying to get that bull going another direction. And literally, I was so engulfed in this dream, because I was in that dream also, even though not an active participant until the moment of, I literally reached out to grab this young man, as he was trying to get out of the pond, and the cowboys were trying to send that bull the other direction. And as I reached out, I woke myself up, reaching my arm out towards this gentleman. And what I see is this raging bull is very likely represents our economy. First suburbia fell, and now we're looking at, these guys were in the wide open spaces in a pond, and we're looking at the rest of the land. And that's what I'm seeing. And other than the understanding that I've had the dream twice, and Joseph told Pharaoh, therefore the matter is set, since it was twice. That's my concern. And knowing that we're coming upon, this economy with no ceiling but a deadline. And what I'm feeling really led to share today is, one, the debt is going to take us down. We're drowning in debt, and I see that as the pond. We're drowning in debt. At first, it was just going to bring the house down, and, the housing bubble and all of that happened. And now it's like our debt is drowning us. Whether it's the Wall Street Bull or the golden calves, the image, there's a lot of scriptural references to, this worship business, and this idea that it can go hand in hand. I don't know if most people realize this or not, but when Aaron fashioned those golden calves, he said the festival is unto Adonai. And when Jeroboam did it later in 1 Kings, I believe it was, He also said this is a festival unto our God. But it was still calves involved. And we have taught and been led to believe that, you know, the materialisms are blessings of our Creator. And I'm saying my concern is the very next man-made solution for this economic mess. It may not be the mark of the beast, but it's getting us that much closer. We really have to start, whether it's soul searching in our own lives first so we know what to repent of, or just purely seeking our Creator and saying, what do? I want to hear your voice. Lead me. But we have got to step out of our dependency on this system that's either going to bring the house down on us or drag us through and drown us. Got to seek Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh Yireh as our provider, whether it's for our health or for our income, for whatever we think we're trusting in the system. We've got to start seeking outside of the system, because the next man-made solution, if it's not the actual agenda of the Antichrist, is one step closer. Any man-made solutions are heading towards the global agenda. And we need to stop and also realize the only inheritance for leaving our children and our grandchildren is debt. And I was amazed in my research to discover that, you know, most of the farms and the land that was lost in the Great Depression was inherited land, but it had been used as collateral for debt. And then when the debt couldn't be paid, it was foreclosed on. And it was tied up with the banks, who had no, you know, what we're looking at is the same thing 80 years later. The Federal Reserve is about to celebrate its 100th anniversary. The same year, income taxes. You know, 1913 was the year of income taxes and the year of the Federal Reserve. We've got to look at this seriously. And the fact that now, this year, they're talking about this Bitcoin. I'm telling you, that is untraceable and that has no standard. So do not think that's the answer to our economic dilemma. It isn't. We're digging the hole deeper and deeper. And the only way to stop that is to stop digging. Lay down the shovel. More debt will not solve this. A new coin, a new currency introduced will not. We have got to get back to, and I can tell you, I've done the math, I've done the figuring. Basically, silver, gold, and land are still in the same comparable relationship that they've always been. It's everything else that plays through. But Proverbs 22:7 tells us the borrower is servant to the lender. That's God's word. I didn't say it, but his word stands forever. So if it was true all those years before Messiah was ever born, it's true now. And we've got to step out, because the time is coming that either it's going to fall in on us or it's going to drown us. This has been Before It Was Headlines, It Was Prophecy. I'm Katie Elizabeth.